We keep as much and use as much of the original airplane as possible for a couple reasons. First of all, it's an artifact. Actually, before that, the Navy wants us to. The Navy owns the airplane, and they want us to use as much of the original airplane as possible because it's going to go into a museum. It'll never fly. It's we restore for museum standards. All these little details, all that goes into laying out each section of the airplane. And what we're doing now is we've actually got to the point where we've made this skin up. It's laying over on the shelf at the moment, but we've made this up. We got it off at the moment, and we're preparing that. And we will put on, we'll skin from here to here, okay? And then we'll put on this piece over here, which is pretty interesting, actually. This is called the a turtleback. That's pretty close to where it goes and how it goes. It wants to spread out. These little things are called clecos. They're kind of like temporary rivets. And they hold our pieces in place while we're working on it. But what that does is that gives you, you can see up there right behind the cockpit where the pilot's headrest is, okay? And then there's what they call a turtleback that's on top of the fuselage section, this being the fuselage section, the round part here, that goes from there to make it aerodynamically streamlined from all the way from the windshield of the cockpit all the way through to the tail, okay? And so that was a real complicated piece to make. A lot of compound curves in it. It's a two-piece. There was no tooling that we had to work. We had to make our own. It took one of our gentlemen about 2 months to make this up. This is the buck that he made up for us to make those pieces, and we made it in 2 halves. It's made in 2 halves, actually. The original was as well. And then we hammered it out, and we got that. And it's really neat. it's really neat to look at too. I mean, I look at it and I go, okay, yeah, that's I like that. I like that a lot. I can stand here and look at it and ignore you. No. So anyway, that's really what we're doing, and we're pulling this all together, and it'll all be skinned from the back to the front, okay, including the painting, the primary painting, and then the painting itself, and then the wooden ribs, or these wooden formers. This will all come out. All right, because again, once it's all skinned and riveted together, that's where the strength of the fuselage is. It's not needed, okay? So it's hollow inside, basically. You got cables, you got wiring, although we won't use it here, but you got different things inside the fuselage, but not much. It's called semi-monocoque construction. That's what that means is it gets much of its strength actually from the skin and the riveting. Like I said, there'll be 5,000 to 6,000 rivets to put this, to reskin all of this. And then the rest of the strength from the framing, okay? So, and actually when the airplane first went in the water, all that trapped air is what kept it afloat long enough for the aircraft carrier to run over it and get caught up in the paddle wheels and tear the airplane apart. So the accident ripped the tail off of the airplane, and that's what we're doing is we're putting it back together. So it's quite a job. People ask me how long it'll take to do it. I go, whatever it takes. We don't know, because certain things, once you get to them, present you with deeper problems than what you anticipated, okay? And so they take longer to work your way through. And again, we don't have any of the tooling. All that got thrown away or destroyed or sold off by the military. These airplanes, most of them were made in a plant, General Motors plant, and one in New York and one in New Jersey. They made almost 8,000 of them, and they were made all the way through the war, even though better airplanes came out later on in the war. But they're a great airplane, early in the war and as a fleet support airplane along the way. This airplane here, this FM-2 Wildcat, this is the kind of airplane that Butch O'Hara, you've heard of O'Hara Airport in Chicago, this is the kind of airplane he was flying when he became an ace.